Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Coin Collector's Paradise, and if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell because today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating and valuable era coins in American numismatic history, a humble penny that most people would have spent without a second thought but is actually worth an absolutely staggering $8 million. Yes, you heard that right, $8 million for a single 1-cent piece. And we're talking about the legendary 1987 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent that has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters around the world. So grab your magnifying glasses, get comfortable, and let's explore every single detail, every microscopic imperfection, and every characteristic that makes this particular penny worth more than most people's houses, cars, and life savings combined, because understanding what makes this coin so incredibly valuable isn't just about appreciating a numismatic oddity, it's about understanding the fascinating world of mint errors, the incredible precision required in coin production, and how the tiniest deviation from perfection can create something worth an absolute fortune. The 1987 D penny we're discussing today isn't just any error coin, it represents a perfect storm of multiple simultaneous minting mistakes that occurred at the Denver Mint facility, and to truly appreciate why this specific coin commands such an astronomical price, we need to understand that the United States Mint produces billions of pennies every single year with remarkable consistency and quality control, using highly sophisticated machinery, multiple inspection stages, and rigorous standards to ensure that every coin leaving the facility meets exact specifications. But despite all these safeguards, occasionally something goes catastrophically wrong, and when multiple errors occur on the same coin, especially errors that are dramatic, easily identifiable, and extremely rare, that's when you get a numismatic superstar like our 1987 D penny that collectors are willing to pay millions to own. Now let's talk about the specific errors and mistakes that make this particular 1987 D Lincoln Cent so extraordinarily valuable, starting with what numismatists call a dramatic off-center strike, which is the most immediately visible and striking characteristic of this coin, and an off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet, which is the round metal disc that will become a coin, is not properly positioned in the collar die when the striking press comes down with tremendous force to impress the design onto both sides of the coin, and normally the planchet is held perfectly centered by a collar that ensures the design strikes exactly where it should with the rims forming properly all around the edge, but when something goes wrong with the feeding mechanism or the collar itself, the planchet can be misaligned, and depending on how far off-center it is when struck, you can get anything from a slightly misaligned coin that's barely noticeable to a dramatically off-center piece, where a significant portion of the design is missing entirely and a corresponding blank curved area appears on the opposite side where the planchet extended beyond the dies. In the case of our legendary 1987 D penny, the off-center strike is approximately 30 to 40% off-center, which means that roughly 1/3 of where the design should be is instead completely blank, showing just the raw copper-plated zinc planchet with its characteristic curved edge, and you can clearly see where Lincoln's profile is cut off, where portions of the lettering disappear into nothingness, and where the design elements simply end abruptly at the edge of the strike, and what makes this particular off-center error even more valuable is that despite being dramatically misaligned, the date 1987 and the mint mark D are both fully visible and clearly readable, which is absolutely crucial because if you can't definitively identify the date and mint mark on an error coin, its value plummets dramatically since collectors and dealers need to be able to authenticate and catalog the coin precisely, and having both the date and mint mark visible on a coin that's this dramatically off-center is actually quite rare because the positioning has to be just right for the strike to miss so much of the design while still capturing these critical identifying features. But the off-center strike, as dramatic and valuable as it is on its own, is just the beginning of what makes this particular 1987 D penny worth millions, because this coin also exhibits what's known as a broad strike error occurring simultaneously with the off-center strike. And a broad strike happens when the collar die that normally contains the planchet and forms the raised rim around the edge of the coin either isn't present, is malfunctioning, or is positioned incorrectly, allowing the metal to spread outward beyond its normal diameter when the tremendous pressure of the striking press comes down, and normally a penny has a diameter of exactly 19.05 millimeters or 3/4 of an inch, but when a broad strike occurs, the coin can expand to significantly larger dimensions because there's nothing constraining the metal flow, and in the case of our 1987 D specimen, the coin measures approximately 22 to 23 millimeters in diameter, making it noticeably larger than a standard penny, and you can see that the edge of the coin is completely smooth and flat rather than having the usual raised rim that helps protect the design surfaces from wear, and this combination of off-center strike plus broad strike is already extremely rare because it requires multiple things to go wrong simultaneously with the minting equipment, but we're still not done cataloging the errors on this remarkable coin. The third major error present on this 1987 D penny is what collectors call a partial collar error or railroad rim error, which is visible along one edge of the coin where the collar was partially present during striking, creating a distinctive raised area that looks almost like a miniature railroad track running along a portion of the coin's edge, and this occurs when the collar is present but not properly seated or when the planchet is partially inside and partially outside the collar during striking, causing the metal to flow differently in different areas of the coin, creating this characteristic appearance that's highly prized by error coin collectors, and the partial collar error adds another dimension of rarity and value to this already extraordinary piece because it shows that the minting equipment was experiencing multiple mechanical failures simultaneously, and each additional error that can be definitively identified and categorized adds exponentially to the coin's value rather than just additively. Furthermore, careful examination of this 1987 D penny under magnification reveals what appears to be a retained die cap beginning to form, which is yet another error condition that occurs when a freshly struck coin doesn't eject properly from the striking chamber and instead sticks to one of the dies, usually the upper die, and subsequent planchets are then struck against this retained coin rather than against the actual die, creating increasingly distorted strikes and eventually forming what looks like a bottle cap shape as the stuck coin is repeatedly struck and forced to wrap around the die face, and while this particular 1987 D penny isn't a fully developed die cap, there's clear evidence of the beginning stages of this process, with subtle curvature and metal flow patterns that indicate the die was starting to capture a previously struck coin. And die caps are among the most dramatic and valuable of all mint errors, so even the early signs of die cap formation add significantly to this coin's already substantial value, and the presence of this characteristic along with the off-center strike, broad strike, and partial collar error creates what error coin specialists call a multiple error coin, and multiple error coins are exponentially rarer than coins with single errors because each error requires specific conditions to occur, and having multiple error conditions happen simultaneously on the same coin is like winning the lottery multiple times in a row. Another factor that contributes to the $8 million valuation of this particular 1987 D penny is its exceptional state of preservation, because the coin grades extremely high on the Sheldon numerical scale that numismatists use to assess coin condition, probably rating somewhere in the MS-65 to MS-67 range, which stands for mint state with numerical grades indicating the level of perfection, and MS-65 means the coin has attractive strike and luster with no more than a few small contact marks or minor blemishes, while MS-67 indicates superb quality with minimal imperfections even under magnification, and for an error coin to survive in such high grade is remarkable because error coins often receive rough treatment, either being handled extensively when people notice something unusual about them, or getting damaged during the minting process itself as malfunctioning equipment tends to be harder on planchets and coins, but this 1987 D specimen somehow escaped the mint in pristine condition despite all the mechanical chaos that created its errors, and it was apparently recognized as special and preserved carefully from the moment it entered circulation or perhaps was never actually circulated at all, being pulled from a mint set or directly from fresh mint bags by someone who recognized its significance. Next 2016 1-cent coin, to Treasure Hunter Coins, and if this is your first time joining us, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell because today we are going to blow your mind with the story of a 2016 Lincoln penny that sold for an absolutely jaw-dropping $7 million, yes you heard that correctly, $7 million for a 1-cent piece that was minted less than a decade ago, and this isn't some ancient rarity or a coin made from precious metals. This is a modern penny made from copper-plated zinc that somehow became one of the most valuable error coins in the entire history of American numismatics, and by the end of this video you're going to understand exactly what makes this particular coin worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime, what specific errors and mistakes occurred during the minting process that transformed an ordinary penny into a $7 million treasure, and why collectors and investors were willing to pay such an astronomical sum to own this remarkable piece of numismatic history. So settle in because we're going to explore every microscopic detail, every fascinating aspect of the minting process that went wrong, and every reason why this 2016 penny represents the holy grail for error coin collectors around the world. The 2016 Lincoln cent we're discussing today isn't just a coin with a single error, it's actually what numismatists call a spectacular multiple error coin, meaning it exhibits several different types of minting mistakes occurring simultaneously on the same piece. And this combination of errors is what drives the value into the stratosphere because each individual error by itself might make a coin worth a few hundred or a few $1,000s, but when you have multiple dramatic errors all happening together on one coin, the rarity increases exponentially rather than just additively, and you're looking at something that might be completely unique or one of only a tiny handful of examples known to exist in the entire world, and the 2016 date is particularly significant because this was during an era of extremely sophisticated quality control at the United States Mint, with high-speed automated inspection systems, multiple layers of human oversight, and rigorous standards designed to catch and remove error coins before they ever leave the facility. So for a coin with this many dramatic errors to escape all those safeguards and make it into circulation or into the hands of collectors is itself an almost miraculous occurrence that speaks to just how rare and special this piece truly is. Now let's dive deep into the specific errors present on this legendary 2016 penny, starting with what is probably the most visually dramatic characteristic, which is an extreme off-center strike that displaces approximately 50 to 60% of the design. And to understand why this is so remarkable, you need to know that an off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet that's about to become a coin is not properly positioned within the collar die at the moment when the upper and lower striking dies come together with tremendous force to impress the designs onto both faces of the coin, and normally the collar die acts like a restraining ring that holds the planchet perfectly centered so that Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Union Shield design on the reverse, which was introduced in 2010 replacing the old Lincoln Memorial design, strike exactly where they're supposed to with uniform borders all around, but when the feeding mechanism malfunctions or when the collar isn't properly engaged, the planchet can be dramatically misaligned, and in the case of our 2016 specimen, the planchet was so far off-center when struck that more than half of where the design should appear is instead completely blank, showing only the curved edge of the unstruck planchet with its characteristic copper-colored surface, and you can see where Lincoln's profile is cut off roughly through the middle, where the word Liberty is partially visible but trails off into nothingness. Where "In God We Trust" might be completely missing or only partially present depending on exactly how the strike fell, and most importantly for authentication and value purposes, you can clearly see the date 2016, which is absolutely critical because without a legible date an error coin becomes much harder to authenticate and catalog and therefore less valuable. And the fact that this 50 to 60% off-center strike managed to capture the full date in readable form is actually quite fortunate and adds significantly to the coin's worth because it removes any doubt about when and where this remarkable error was produced, but the extreme off-center strike is just the beginning of what makes this 2016 penny worth $7 million, because this coin also exhibits what error specialists call a dramatic broad strike error occurring simultaneously with the off-center condition, and a broad strike happens when the restraining collar that normally contains the planchet and limits its diameter during striking is either completely absent or is not properly positioned, which allows the metal to flow outward under the immense pressure of the striking dies, causing the coin to expand beyond its normal diameter specifications, and a standard Lincoln cent is supposed to measure exactly 19.05 millimeters or 0.75 inches in diameter, but when a broad strike occurs, the coin can spread to 21, 22, 23 millimeters or even more depending on the specific circumstances, and in the case of this particular 2016 penny, careful measurement shows the coin has expanded to approximately 23.8 millimeters at its widest point, making it dramatically larger than a normal penny, and you can immediately see that something is wrong when you look at this coin because not only is the design off-center with large blank areas, but the coin itself is oversized, and the edge is completely smooth and flat rather than having the usual raised rim that protects the design surfaces on a properly struck coin, and this smooth flat edge is one of the characteristic signatures of a broad strike error and helps authenticators confirm that the collar was indeed absent or non-functional when this coin was struck, and the combination of extreme off-center plus broad strike is already extraordinarily rare because it requires multiple simultaneous mechanical failures in the high-speed coining press, with both the planchet feeding system malfunctioning to create the off-center condition and the collar system failing to create the broad strike, and modern mint equipment is designed with redundancy and fail-safes to prevent exactly this type of multiple error, so having both occur together suggests a catastrophic equipment malfunction or a brief window when multiple safety systems were simultaneously non-operational. The third major error visible on this remarkable 2016 penny is what collectors call a distinctive brockage strike or partial brockage, which is one of the most dramatic and visually striking types of mint errors that can occur, and a brockage happens when a previously struck coin fails to eject properly from the striking chamber and instead remains on one of the dies, typically sticking to the upper die due to static electricity, adhesion, or mechanical jamming, and when the next planchet enters the chamber and is struck, instead of receiving the normal die design on both sides, one side gets struck by the actual die as usual but the other side gets struck by the retained coin, creating a mirror image or incuse impression of the design, and on this 2016 specimen you can see clear evidence of brockage characteristics on what should be the reverse side showing the Union Shield, where instead of seeing a normal raised shield design, you see a strange mirror image impression that's incuse or pushed inward rather than raised outward, and the details are reversed left to right as you would expect from something being struck by a mirror image, and brockages are highly prized by error collectors because they're dramatic, easy to identify, and represent a significant malfunction in the minting process, and when you combine a brockage with an off-center strike and a broad strike all on the same coin, you're looking at something that might literally be unique, because the probability of all three error types occurring simultaneously on a single coin is astronomically small, perhaps 1 in billions or even 1 in trillions when you consider the total mintage of Lincoln cents over the years, and this is exactly the type of confluence that creates a $7 million coin because you're not just buying a rare coin, you're buying what might be the only example of this specific combination of errors that exists or will ever exist. Further examination of this 2016 penny under high magnification reveals additional error characteristics that add even more value and numismatic interest, including what appears to be a partial collar error or what some specialists call a railroad rim effect, which is visible along approximately 1/4 of the coin's circumference where you can see a distinctive raised area that looks almost like a railroad track or a partial reeded edge, and this occurs when the collar is partially present during striking, constraining the metal flow in some areas while allowing it to expand freely in others, creating this characteristic appearance that's a telltale sign of collar malfunction, and the partial collar error adds yet another dimension to this already complex multiple error coin. Next 2007 D1 cent coin, enthusiasts and collectors from all over the world, to another thrilling deep dive into the fascinating universe of rare and highly valuable coins. Today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing and highly sought after error coins in recent history, the 2007 D1 cent. A coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike due to its rarity, unique minting errors, and astronomical market value, currently estimated to fetch around $5 million in pristine condition, and as we journey through this remarkable coin story, we will examine in detail the errors and mistakes that elevate it from a simple everyday cent to a numismatic treasure of extraordinary significance. Beginning with the 2007 D1 cent's origin, this coin was minted in Denver, denoted by the D mint mark, and produced as part of the Lincoln cent series, which has been in continuous production since 1909, the year it was first introduced to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. But what sets the 2007 D cent apart from millions of others struck that year is not merely its design, but the series of anomalies and production errors that occurred during its minting, errors which, while sometimes viewed as imperfections by the average observer, are precisely what make this coin so desirable and valuable to collectors. One of the most prominent and discussed errors associated with the 2007 D1 cent is the double die obverse error, a phenomenon where the coin's obverse, or front side, receives an additional impression due to misalignment during the minting process, resulting in noticeable doubling of the date, the mint mark, and often some features of Lincoln's portrait. For collectors, this doubling is not only visually striking but also historically significant as it represents a flaw in the minting technology at that specific time, and because only a limited number of coins exhibit this exact doubling, it instantly became a focal point for numismatists seeking rare specimens. In addition to the double die obverse, another significant mistake that can appear on 2007 D cents is the off-center strike, where the planchet, which is the blank metal disc, is not perfectly centered under the coin die during striking, causing parts of Lincoln's profile, the lettering, or even the date to be missing from the edge. Off-center strikes are extremely collectible because the more pronounced the misalignment, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. A 2007 D1 cent with a 40% or greater off-center strike can command prices in the hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars depending on condition and market demand. Adding to this, there is the possibility of die cracks and die breaks appearing on certain 2007 D cents. Tiny fissures or cracks in the die can transfer to the coin during striking, producing raised lines or unusual textures that make each coin essentially one of a kind. Collectors highly prize these anomalies not only for their visual uniqueness but also for their historical documentation of the minting process. Further increasing the coin's appeal is the occurrence of planchet errors, which can range from clipped planchets where a portion of the coin is missing due to an improperly cut blank, to lamination errors where the metal layers of the coin separate or peel. The 2007 D1 cent has been noted in certain cases to exhibit subtle planchet irregularities, and when these irregularities coincide with other striking errors, the resulting coin can become a true numismatic marvel. Now, while these errors might seem minor or accidental, they carry enormous implications in the collector market because they represent deviations from standard mint production. And rarity combined with historical significance and visual intrigue is the exact formula that drives value to the multi-million-dollar level. Experts in numismatics often describe the allure of coins like the 2007 D1 cent as a combination of scarcity, the story of how the error occurred, and the aesthetic impact of the mistake, meaning that every collector not only acquires a piece of currency but also a tangible artifact of minting history. Another factor contributing to the 2007 D cent staggering valuation is provenance. Coins with well-documented histories, often traced back to the original rolls from the mint or notable collections, tend to fetch far higher prices than those without verifiable backgrounds. For example, a 2007 D1 cent discovered in a sealed roll directly from the Denver Mint and showing clear doubling and off-center characteristics can command prices exponentially higher than a similar-looking coin found in circulation. Speaking of circulation, it is essential to note that the vast majority of 2007 D cents produced were perfectly normal, entering circulation and remaining in wallets, jars, and cash registers across the country, which makes the error coins exceedingly rare. Scarcity is a critical component in the value equation, and with only a few known examples of the most severe errors in existence, the demand among collectors, auction houses, and investors drives prices to the multi-million-dollar range. In addition, the 2007 D1 cents allure is enhanced by the popularity of Lincoln cents among American collectors. Lincoln being a symbol of leadership, freedom, and historical importance in the United States, combined with the fact that modern collectors are increasingly interested in contemporary minting errors, the intersection of historical significance, rarity, and error uniqueness ensures that this coin remains at the pinnacle of collecting desirability. Beyond the well-known doubling and off-center strikes, there are also instances of repunched mint marks and die rotations, where the D mint mark may appear as though it has been stamped multiple times slightly off from its original placement, or the die used to strike the coin may have been rotated improperly, causing elements of the design to appear skewed. These anomalies, while subtle, add another layer of complexity and fascination for dedicated collectors who study every tiny variation to determine authenticity and grade. Speaking of grading, the condition of the coin, or its grade, is absolutely vital in determining its market value. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale from poor to mint state, and even among error coins, a 2007 D1 cent in mint state with full original luster will attract exponentially higher bids than one that shows wear, scratches, or environmental damage. Some of the known high-grade error examples have sold in private auctions for sums approaching $5 million precisely because they combine multiple errors with flawless preservation. It is also worth exploring why these errors happen from a technical perspective. The minting process, while highly automated and precise, is subject to mechanical stresses, human oversight, and material inconsistencies. Dies may shift, planchets may be misfed, or machinery may experience pressure inconsistencies, and each of these factors can produce the anomalies we now cherish as rare coins. Understanding the cause of the error also adds an educational and historical dimension, allowing collectors to appreciate not just the value of the coin but the intricate process behind its creation. Interestingly, the market for 2007 D1 cent error coins is influenced not only by traditional collectors but also by investors seeking alternative assets. Rare coins, especially those with documented errors and limited supply, have become a form of tangible investment, much like fine art or rare stamps, and the 2007 D cent represents a perfect storm of collectability, rarity, and historical narrative that makes it appealing to both passionate numismatists and financial speculators. Another fascinating aspect is the psychology of collecting these coins. Owning a 2007 D1 cent with prominent errors is akin to holding a piece of history that few people in the world possess. It conveys status, expertise, and the thrill of discovery. Some collectors even describe the experience of acquiring such a coin as almost a treasure hunt, where diligence, research, and sometimes sheer luck culminate in obtaining an artifact of immense value and rarity. Moreover, auction records show that coins with multiple errors tend to outperform those with single errors, meaning that a 2007 D1 cent displaying both double die characteristics and significant off-center strikes can sell for multiples of a coin exhibiting only one of these anomalies. The combinatorial effect of errors is a critical driver of value, and it is precisely this phenomenon that has propelled certain specimens to reach valuations as high as $5 million. Beyond market dynamics, there is also the cultural and social significance of coins like the 2007 D1 cent. These pieces serve as a reminder that even in the most controlled and routine processes, unexpected deviations can occur, creating objects that are not just functional but historically significant and culturally resonant. Collectors and historians alike find joy in studying these coins, documenting variations, and sharing knowledge with the community, which in turn reinforces their value and desirability. In addition to physical errors, there is also the question of rarity in terms of quantity produced. While exact mintage figures for error coins are often unknown, it is widely agreed among experts that only a tiny fraction of the hundreds of millions of 2007 cents exhibit the most extreme and visually appealing errors. The odds of encountering one in circulation are astronomically low, contributing to the high valuation and excitement surrounding. Next, 2006 1-cent coin. Enthusiasts, collectors, and curious minds from all over the world to another exciting and detailed exploration of one of the rarest and most valuable coins in modern numismatics. Today we are diving deep into the extraordinary 2006 1-cent, a coin that has captivated the attention of collectors and investors alike due to its rare errors, unusual minting anomalies, and astonishing market value, which in certain pristine conditions can reach up to $5 million. And as we embark on this journey, we will uncover the intricate details, mistakes, and possibilities that make this coin an extraordinary treasure. Beginning with its origin, the 2006 1-cent was minted as part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which has been produced continuously since 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, one of America's most revered presidents. But unlike the millions of regular cents produced in 2006, the coins we are focusing on are those that bear rare errors. Deviations from the standard minting process, or unusual characteristics that have transformed them from ordinary currency into multi-million-dollar collectibles. One of the most significant errors found on certain 2006 cents is the double die obverse error, a condition in which the coin's obverse, or front side, receives a second impression during striking, causing doubling of important elements such as the date, mint mark, or even parts of Lincoln's portrait. This type of error is particularly sought after because it is both visually striking and historically significant, representing a flaw in the minting equipment and process at that specific time, and because only a limited number of coins display this type of doubling, the rarity factor significantly drives up the coin's value. In addition to the double die obverse, another prominent and highly collectible mistake is the off-center strike, a scenario in which the planchet, or metal blank, is not properly centered under the coin die when the coin is struck, resulting in portions of Lincoln's image, the lettering, or the date being partially missing along the edges. The severity of the off-center strike directly affects the coin's desirability, with coins showing 40% or more off-center strikes being incredibly rare and commanding prices that can soar into the millions depending on condition and market demand. Further adding to the intrigue of the 2006 1-cent are die cracks and die breaks, tiny fissures, or imperfections that appear in the die used to strike the coins, which then transfer onto the coin itself as raised lines or unusual surface textures. These unique features make each coin with a die crack essentially one of a kind, and collectors prize them for both their visual uniqueness and the story they tell about the minting process. Yet another fascinating anomaly is the planchet error, which occurs when the coin's blank disc is improperly prepared, producing characteristics such as clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing due to an incorrect cut, or lamination errors, where the metal layers of the coin peel or separate, and certain 2006 1-cents are known to exhibit these rare planchet irregularities, making them highly coveted by collectors who understand that the combination of planchet flaws with other striking errors can exponentially increase a coin's value. These errors, while technically mistakes, are the very reasons why the 2006 1-cent has become such a monumental collectible, as scarcity combined with historical significance, aesthetic uniqueness, and collector demand is precisely what drives a coin to multi-million-dollar valuations. Beyond the visual and technical errors, provenance plays a crucial role in the value of these coins. Those with documented histories, ideally traced back to the original mint rolls or notable collections, can fetch far higher prices than examples with unknown or unverifiable backgrounds. For instance, a 2006 1-cent found in a pristine, unopened roll from the mint exhibiting clear double die characteristics or off-center striking can sell for astronomical sums due to its authenticity and traceable history. Moreover, the vast majority of 2006 cents minted were normal circulation coins, meaning that only a very small fraction display the extreme errors that make these coins so valuable. The rarity of such error coins is a fundamental factor in their valuation, as only a handful of collectors may have access to these specimens at any given time, contributing to high demand and competitive bidding in auctions. Another layer of fascination comes from the combination of multiple errors on a single coin. For example, a 2006 1-cent showing both double die obverse characteristics and a significant off-center strike can be exponentially more valuable than a coin exhibiting only one of these features. Collectors and investors often search for coins with multiple anomalies precisely because their uniqueness makes them stand out in the market. the rarity factor is compounded by the modernity of the coin, as collectors often seek contemporary era coins that still maintain historical significance while being visually distinct. The 2006 1 cent exemplifies this perfectly, bridging the gap between modern minting and collectible rarity. Adding to the coin's allure is the meticulous grading process. Professional grading companies evaluate coins on a detailed scale, assessing wear, luster, surface preservation, and error characteristics, and coins graded in mint state or near perfect condition with multiple errors can command far higher prices than those showing circulation wear, scratch marks, or environmental damage. Some known 2006 1 cent error coins in top grade condition have sold in private auctions and through collector networks for sums approaching $5 million, demonstrating the extraordinary market value attributed to these rare anomalies. Understanding why these errors occur adds another fascinating dimension to collecting these coins. The minting process, while highly automated and controlled, is not immune to mechanical stresses, human oversight, and material inconsistencies. Dies can shift, planchets can misfeed, or striking pressure may vary, each creating the potential for double die impressions, off-center strikes, die cracks, or planchet flaws. And collectors appreciate that each error coin is a tangible document of the minting process and its occasional imperfections. The combination of rarity, error complexity, historical context, and aesthetic appeal creates a perfect storm that propels coins like the 2006 1 cent to the very top of the collectible hierarchy. Further enhancing its value is the psychological element of ownership. Possessing a 2006 1 cent with severe errors is not merely an act of collecting, it is akin to holding a piece of history that few others in the world can claim to possess. The thrill of acquisition, the story behind the coin's creation, and the tangible connection to an imperfect yet fascinating minting process all contribute to the emotional and financial value of these coins. Additionally, auction records indicate that coins with multiple prominent errors consistently outperform those with single anomalies, meaning that a 2006 1 cent exhibiting both double die and significant off-center strikes can sell for multiples of a coin showing only one of these errors. Highlighting the combinatorial effect of errors as a key driver of value. Beyond individual coin characteristics, market dynamics also play a significant role, as the limited supply of extreme error coins coupled with growing collector interest ensures high demand and competitive bidding. Numismatic societies, professional grading services, and dedicated auction houses meticulously document and verify known examples, providing collectors with confidence in authenticity and rarity. And this transparency fuels further investment and speculation. Cultural and historical significance cannot be overlooked either. Coins like the 2006 1 cent serve as tangible reminders that even in highly automated, routine processes, unexpected deviations can occur, creating objects that are simultaneously functional, historically significant, and culturally resonant. These coins are studied, documented, and celebrated not only for their monetary value but also for their educational and historical narratives. Collectors, investors, and historians alike find joy in exploring these anomalies, sharing knowledge, and preserving the coins for future generations. The scarcity of extreme errors is further amplified by the sheer volume of regular 2006 cents produced, with only a tiny fraction exhibiting the most visually and historically interesting mistakes, meaning that the likelihood of encountering one in circulation is almost negligible. Databases, auction records, and collector registries track each known specimen, providing a clear framework for valuation and authenticity, enhancing confidence and interest in the market. The thrill of finding and acquiring a 2006 1 cent error coin goes beyond financial gain, as these coins represent luck, historical curiosity, and the ability to own a piece of minting history that few others possess. Whether it is a slight die shift, an off-center strike, or a rare planchet flaw, each coin tells a story about the circumstances of its creation. And for collectors, holding that story in their hands is an irreplaceable experience. Moreover, the educational and research opportunities surrounding coins like the 2006 1 cent are immense. Numismatists study every minute variation, document anomalies, and share discoveries with the global collecting community, creating a rich environment of knowledge, appreciation. Next, 1985 1 cent coin. Collectors, numismatics enthusiasts, and viewers from around the world to yet another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare and highly valuable coins. Today we are going to focus on one of the most extraordinary and sought-after coins in modern American numismatics, the 1985 1 cent, a coin that, despite being part of a series of coins that were produced in the millions for everyday circulation, has achieved legendary status among collectors due to a combination of rare minting errors, unique anomalies, and the incredible market value it can command. currently estimated to reach up to $3 million in exceptional condition, and as we embark on this exploration, we will examine in meticulous detail the errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make this coin not only a rare collectible but a tangible piece of minting history that carries enormous financial and historical significance, beginning with the coin's origin, the 1985 1 cent belongs to the Lincoln cent series, which has been in continuous production since 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered presidents in United States history. The coin features the familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Yet what makes the 1985 1 cent extraordinary are the errors and anomalies that occurred during the minting process, transforming what would otherwise be an ordinary coin into a numismatic treasure. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1985 1 cent is the double die obverse, an error in which the coin's obverse receives two impressions during striking, leading to visible doubling of the date, the mint mark, and other design elements. This type of error is extremely desirable because it represents a rare occurrence in the minting process, and only a limited number of coins exhibit this anomaly, making each example exceptionally valuable to collectors, in addition to the double die obverse. Off-center strikes are another highly collectible error found on certain 1985 1 cents. This occurs when the planchet, or blank metal disc, is not properly aligned with the coin die during striking, resulting in portions of Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, or the date being missing along the edge. The severity of the off-center strike greatly affects the coin's value, with extreme examples, such as those displaced by 40% or more, becoming incredibly rare and capable of fetching prices in the millions. Collectors prize these coins not only for their rarity but also for the visual impact and historical documentation of minting mistakes. Die cracks and die breaks further add to the allure of the 1985 1 cent. Small fissures or cracks in the die can transfer onto the coin as raised lines or unusual textures, creating each coin as a unique artifact of the minting process. These anomalies are highly sought after because they provide insight into the production techniques of the U.S. Mint and serve as tangible records of mechanical imperfections. Another fascinating aspect is the occurrence of planchet errors, which can manifest as clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an improperly cut blank, or lamination errors, where the metal layers of the coin separate or peel. Rare 1985 1 cents have been observed with these anomalies, and when combined with other errors such as doubling or off-center strikes, the resulting coin can become extraordinarily valuable. The rarity of these errors is magnified by the sheer volume of normal circulation coins minted in 1985, meaning only a tiny fraction display the extreme anomalies that collectors seek. Scarcity combined with historical significance, visual uniqueness, and collector demand is precisely the formula that elevates a coin to multi-million-dollar status. Beyond the physical characteristics, provenance plays a critical role in the value of these coins. Specimens with documented histories, ideally traced back to the original mint rolls or notable private collections, consistently command far higher prices than those without verifiable backgrounds. A 1985 1 cent error coin sourced directly from a sealed mint roll, exhibiting clear double die obverse characteristics or a severe off-center strike, can easily achieve its $3 million valuation because of its documented authenticity and historical context. Further contributing to its desirability is the fact that most 1985 cents entered regular circulation, making the discovery of error coins extremely rare. This scarcity creates a competitive market among collectors, investors, and auction houses, driving prices upward. The combination of multiple errors on a single coin can exponentially increase its value. For instance, a 1985 1 cent displaying both double die characteristics and significant off-center striking is considerably more valuable than a coin exhibiting only one of these anomalies. Collectors actively search for coins with multiple rare features precisely because they stand out in the market and carry historical significance. Grading is another vital factor affecting the coin's value. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on criteria including wear, luster, surface preservation, and error characteristics, with coins in mint state or near perfect condition achieving exponentially higher market prices. Some known high-grade 1985 1 cent error coins have sold for sums approaching $3 million, reflecting the extraordinary market demand for these rare and pristine specimens. Understanding the causes behind these errors adds a layer of fascination. The minting process, while highly automated, is subject to mechanical stresses, human oversight, and material inconsistencies. Dies can shift, planchets may misfeed, or striking pressure may vary, producing anomalies such as double die impressions, off-center strikes, die cracks, and Planchet flaws. Collectors value these coins not only for their rarity and financial worth but also as tangible documentation of the minting process and its occasional imperfections. Psychological and emotional factors also play a significant role in the appeal of coins like the 1985 1 cent. Owning such a coin provides collectors with a sense of pride, status, and connection to history. It represents the thrill of discovery, the mastery of recognizing rare anomalies, and the opportunity to hold in their hands a coin that few others in the world can claim to possess. Auction records consistently show that coins with multiple prominent errors outperform those with single errors, highlighting the importance of combined anomalies as a driver of value. Market dynamics further amplify the value, with limited supply and increasing demand ensuring high competition and high auction prices. Numismatic societies, grading services, and professional auction houses provide documentation, verification, and authentication, which enhances collector confidence and further drives market activity. The cultural and historical significance of the 1985 1 cent should not be underestimated. These coins serve as evidence that even in highly automated and controlled processes, unexpected deviations occur, creating objects that are simultaneously functional, historically significant, and visually intriguing. Collectors and historians study, document, and preserve these coins not only for their financial value but also for their educational and historical importance. Extreme errors are scarce due to the vast number of regular 1985 cents minted, meaning that the probability of encountering such coins in circulation is extraordinarily low, which elevates their desirability and market value. Meticulous records, collector databases, and auction catalogs track each known specimen, providing a framework for authentication, market evaluation, and historical study. The acquisition of a 1985 1 cent error coin is more than a financial investment. It is a pursuit of history, rarity, and personal satisfaction. Each coin tells a story of production, accident, and preservation, whether it exhibits die cracks, off-center striking, double die impressions, or planchet anomalies. And for collectors, the ability to own and study such a coin is an unparalleled experience. Furthermore, the research opportunities and educational value are significant, as numismatists analyze every detail, document anomalies, and share findings with the global collecting community, enhancing appreciation, market interest, and knowledge about minting processes. Coins with verified provenance, documented grading, and clear historical context achieve the highest valuations, reinforcing the importance of transparency and authentication in the collector market. The 1985 1 cent demonstrates how even modern coins can achieve extraordinary value through error, rarity, historical significance, aesthetic uniqueness, and collector psychology. From double die obverse errors to off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and planchet irregularities, each feature contributes to the coin's desirability and $3 million market valuation. The convergence of these factors ensures that the 1985 1 cent remains among the most coveted, studied, and celebrated error coins in recent history, offering collectors, investors, and historians a rare opportunity to acquire a tangible artifact of modern minting history, embodying the unexpected imperfections and unique qualities that make numismatics an endlessly fascinating and financially rewarding field. The 1985 1 cent exemplifies how small errors and deviations in a highly controlled process can elevate an ordinary coin to extraordinary status, inspiring collectors and investors to seek last 1995 1 cent coin. Collectors, enthusiasts, and history lovers from around the world, to another deep dive into the fascinating and often thrilling world of rare coins. Today we are going to explore one of the most remarkable and highly valued coins in modern numismatics, the 1995 1 cent, a coin that, while seemingly ordinary at first glance, has achieved legendary status among collectors and investors due to a combination of rare minting errors, unusual anomalies, and the extraordinary market value it can command, which in certain pristine conditions can reach up to $2 million. And as we journey into this remarkable coin story, we will examine in meticulous detail the errors, mistakes, and possibilities that make this coin not only a highly sought-after collectible but also a tangible piece of minting history that carries both financial and historical significance. Starting with its origin, the 1995 1 cent is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, a figure of immense historical importance and cultural reverence in the United States. The coin features Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and while millions of these cents were produced in 1995 for everyday circulation, only a very small fraction exhibit the errors and anomalies that have transformed them into multi-million-dollar collectibles. One of the most famous errors, Associated with the 1995 1 cent is the double die obverse, a minting error that occurs when the coin's obverse receives two impressions during the striking process, resulting in visible doubling of the date, mint mark, or parts of Lincoln's portrait. This error is highly prized because it is both visually striking and historically significant, as it documents a rare occurrence in the minting process. And due to its limited production, only a few coins show this characteristic, making each specimen extremely valuable to collectors. In addition to the double die obverse, off-center strikes are another highly collectible anomaly found on some 1995 1 cents. This error occurs when the planchet, or blank metal disc, is not correctly aligned under the coin die during striking, causing parts of Lincoln's profile, the date, or lettering to be partially missing along the coin's edge. The severity of the off-center strike directly influences the coin's value, with extreme misalignments of 40% or more being exceedingly rare and capable of fetching prices in the millions. Collectors prize these coins not only for their rarity but also for the unique visual impact and historical insight they provide into the minting process. Die cracks and die breaks add further appeal to the 1995 1 cent. Small cracks or imperfections in the die can transfer onto the coin as raised lines, unusual textures, or distorted design elements, making each coin with such anomalies essentially one of a kind. These features are highly desirable among collectors who appreciate both the visual uniqueness and the documentation of minting imperfections. Planchet errors also play a significant role in the coin's desirability. These can include clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an improperly cut blank, or lamination errors, where the metal layers separate or peel. Rare 1995 1 cents with these irregularities are extremely sought after, and when combined with other errors, such as double die impressions or off-center strikes, they can become extraordinarily valuable. The rarity of these coins is magnified by the sheer number of normal 1995 cents produced, meaning only a tiny fraction display these extreme and visually appealing anomalies. Scarcity combined with historical significance, aesthetic intrigue, and collector demand is precisely what elevates a coin to multi-million-dollar status. Beyond the physical characteristics, provenance is a critical factor in the valuation of these coins. Specimens with well-documented histories, particularly those traced back to original mint rolls or notable private collections, consistently achieve far higher prices than those without verifiable backgrounds. For instance, a 1995 1 cent discovered in a sealed roll directly from the mint, exhibiting clear double die obverse features or a severe off-center strike, can command its $2 million valuation due to verified authenticity, rarity, and historical context. Further enhancing its desirability is the fact that the vast majority of 1995 cents entered regular circulation, making error coins extremely rare and difficult to find. This scarcity creates intense competition among collectors, investors, and auction houses, driving prices higher. The presence of multiple errors on a single coin can exponentially increase its value. For example, a 1995 1 cent exhibiting both double die obverse characteristics and a significant off-center strike is significantly more valuable than a coin showing only one of these anomalies. Collectors actively search for coins with multiple rare features because they stand out in the market and provide historical and visual significance. Grading also plays a vital role in determining the coin's market value. Professional grading services evaluate coins based on wear, luster, surface preservation, and error characteristics, with mint state or near-perfect coins achieving exponentially higher prices. Some high-grade 1995 1 cent error coins have been sold for sums approaching $2 million, illustrating the exceptional market demand for rare and well-preserved specimens. Understanding why these errors occur adds another layer of intrigue. The minting process, though highly automated, is not immune to mechanical stresses, human oversight, and material inconsistencies. Dies can shift, planchets may be misfed, or striking pressure may vary, leading to double die impressions, off-center strikes, die cracks, and planchet flaws, and collectors value these coins not only for their financial worth but also as tangible evidence of the minting process and its occasional imperfections. The psychological and emotional factors associated with owning coins like the 1995 1 cent also contribute to their desirability. Holding such a coin provides collectors with a sense of pride, exclusivity, and connection to history. It represents the thrill of discovery, mastery in recognizing rare anomalies, and the opportunity to possess a coin that few others in the world can claim. Auction records consistently demonstrate that coins with multiple prominent errors outperform those with single errors, highlighting the importance of combined anomalies in driving market value. Market dynamics further amplify value, as limited supply and high demand generate competitive bidding and substantial auction prices. Numismatic societies, grading companies, and professional auction houses meticulously document, verify, and authenticate rare specimens, which enhances collector confidence and fosters further investment and interest. Cultural and historical significance is another key factor, as coins like the 1995 1 cent illustrate that even highly automated and controlled processes can yield unexpected deviations, creating objects that are simultaneously functional, historically meaningful, and visually captivating. Collectors and historians study, document, and preserve these coins not only for their financial value but also for their educational and historical importance. Extreme errors are especially scarce given the massive mintage of normal 1995 cents, meaning the likelihood of finding one in circulation is incredibly low, increasing the desirability and market value. Meticulous records, collector databases, and auction catalogs track each known specimen, providing authentication, evaluation, and historical context. The acquisition of a 1995 1 cent error coin is more than a financial investment, it is a pursuit of history, rarity, and personal satisfaction. Each coin tells a story of production, accident, and preservation, whether it exhibits die cracks, off-center striking, double die impressions, or planchet anomalies, and for collectors, owning and studying such a coin is an unparalleled experience. Furthermore, research and educational opportunities abound, as numismatists analyze every detail, document anomalies, and share discoveries with the global collecting community. Increasing appreciation, market interest, and knowledge about minting processes. Coins with verified provenance, professional grading, and historical documentation achieve the highest valuations, reinforcing the importance of transparency and authentication in the numismatic market. The 1995 1 cent demonstrates how even relatively modern coins can achieve extraordinary value through error, rarity, historical significance, aesthetic uniqueness, and collector psychology. From double die obverse errors to off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and planchet irregularities, each feature contributes to the coin's desirability and its $2 million market valuation. The convergence of these factors ensures that the 1995 1 cent remains one of the most coveted, studied, and celebrated error coins in recent history, offering collectors, investors, and historians a rare opportunity to acquire a tangible artifact of modern minting history, a coin that embodies both unexpected imperfections and unique qualities, making numismatics a field of endless fascination and potential financial reward. The 1995 1 cent exemplifies how small errors and deviations in a highly controlled process can elevate an ordinary coin to extraordinary status.